Hello students, this is Sonette Smith and this is the second video on non-profit entities chapter 10, and in this video I'm going to be looking at question 10.2, which deals with membership fees. Question 10.2 is divided into two sections, so we'll first look at section A. So this is the question, and they ask us to do adjustments and closing transfers in the General Journal of Dancers Club on the 31st of December 2002, and then they want us to prepare the membership fees account in the General Ledger of Dancers Club for 2002. That's the same period, and it must be properly closed off at the end of the financial year. When you're asked to prepare General Ledger accounts, when it says prepare, please make sure you prepare the General Ledger accounts properly. You will get marks subtracted if you don't include dates, for example, and you need to have the proper account names on top of the General Ledger, and you need to make sure that the General Ledger is completed as accurately as possible. And when it says properly closed off, you must make sure everything is balanced and closed off as well, otherwise you will lose marks. So if we go now and read the question, we have a group of enthusiastic dancers who started the Dancers Club on the 2nd of January, and that's the beginning of the year that we're busy with, so it's a new club. The constitution of the club is that the entrance fees paid of 200 Rand per member. We're not going to do anything regarding entrance fees. We are going to be doing only the membership fees transactions. The membership fee per annum per member is 300 Rand. The membership of a member whose membership fee for the previous year is not paid by 30th of April will be cancelled and the outstanding amount will be written off. So if you're a member, you have until the end of April the following year to pay your fee, otherwise your membership fee is cancelled and the outstanding membership fee gets written off as a credit loss. The reason for that is because you would have been a member for the whole year without paying a fee. So the membership fee income would already have been accrued for, but you wouldn't have paid, which is why it's a credit loss. Then they give us information for 2002. On the 31st of December 2002, the club had 75 members. In this question, our assumption is going to be that the 75 members all have to pay the full 300 Rand. When we do other questions in the next video, this will change, where if a member hasn't been there for the whole year, they only have to pay part of the membership fee. But if there's nothing like that, then you can assume these 75 members had to pay the full 300 Rand membership fee. During the year, 22,200 was received for membership fees. Received means that's money we got into the bank account. And this included membership fees paid in advance for 2003 by 3 members. So in that 22,200 is this year's membership fees plus 3 members that paid their membership fees in advance for the following year. And for 2002, some of the members' membership fees are still outstanding. Now here we can already pick up, they haven't told us how many, so there's something we're going to need to calculate here. How many members had not paid their membership fees by the end of the year? That's something that sometimes they give you in the question, other times they won't, and you have to be able to work it out if they don't give it to you. So the first entry we're going to put in this question, there are no opening entries to be reversed because we started this club only on the 2nd of January. That means the beginning of the current year. So the next thing we're going to do is to record the transactions for the year. So we're going to record first the 22,200 that was received. So the journal entry for that on 31st of December 2002, and again please make sure you put in dates on your journal entry. Debit bank credit membership fees, that's income. We'll credit the income account with 22,200. With journal narrations, very often the question in a test or exam will say they're not required, then you don't have to put them. Otherwise, if it doesn't say, then you must give journal narrations. So here's the membership fees account for the year, and this is the first entry. We debited bank and credited membership fees. Remember, this is an income account. This is income for the club, and the first entry in there is the amount we've received in cash for the year. But remember, when we work with an accrual system, that's not necessarily the total income that we've earned for the year. We're going to have to work out how much that is. So the next thing we're going to look at is it tells us on the 31st December the club had 75 registered members. We're going to use that information to work out what is the income that we actually earned for the year. So we have 75 members who are supposed to pay 300 Rand each. That will be our income for the year. So the journal entry will be, our membership fees account will be debited and will credit income and expenditure. This is the total amount of membership fees that's going to be taken to our income and expenditure account. This is a closing transfer account. This membership fees amount of 22,500 represents the balance of membership fees. That's the income for the year that gets transferred to the income and expenditure account. This is the amount that will show on our statement of profit and loss for the club. So in our membership fees account, this 22,500 gets taken out and will get credited to our income and expenditure account. The next thing they tell us is that we must look for membership fees paid in advance and membership fees in arrears. They tell us that there are 3 members who paid in advance for next year. So that means 3 times 300. There's 900 Rand included in this amount here that actually relates to next year's membership fees. So we're going to take that 900 Rand out of the membership fees account, and we're going to credit a liability called membership fees received in advance. That's for 3 members at 300 Rand each. So here's the debit to the membership fees account. Remember that 900 was included in our bank amount, but now we're taking the 900 Rand out of membership fees and we are crediting a liability. This will be shown with current liabilities on the statement of financial position at the end of the year because it's next year's membership fee income. So at the beginning of the next year, you'll see in section B, we're actually going to reverse that into income for next year. Then they tell us membership fees for some of the members are still outstanding. And remember, we said we're going to have to work out how many members this is. We have enough information now in the question to work out how much membership fees are still outstanding at the end of the year. What we have is in the membership fees account, we know the total amount of membership fees we should have earned. That's for the 75 members. We know that there are 3 members who paid in advance, but we received 22,200. So that 22,200 is the total we received, but 900 of it relates to next year. So that's why that gets taken out, which means that if we have to balance this account now, the debit side adds to 23,400. If we take the 23,400 across and we subtract the amount we received for the bank account, it leaves us with a balancing amount of 1,200, which if you divide by 300 gives you 4 members. So the journal entry that we would need to do is we will debit membership fees receivable, which is an asset. This is an amount that's due to us that hasn't yet been paid, and we'll credit the membership fees account, that's an income. So in this membership fees account, we now have the money we've physically received in the bank account, plus the amounts that haven't yet been paid. Then we've subtracted from that the amounts paid in advance, and the difference of 22,500 is what goes to our income and expenditure account. Let me just say that again. So this 22,500 is the balance on the membership fees account, because the credits of 23,400, we subtract 900, that gives us 22,500. So that's the income for the year that's been earned. 1,200 is an asset, membership fees that still need to be paid, and 900 is a liability membership fees that we've already received in advance. That's going to be next year's income. So the very last journal entry, we actually had to go and look at what the balance was on the membership fees account. This is the balancing number, if you like. So to make the membership fees account balance, we saw we needed to have 1,200 on the credit side of the membership fees account, which means we have to debit membership fees receivable, the asset, with 1,200. That means there were effectively 4 members who still owed 300 Rand each. Another way of working out that there are 4 members who owe membership fees is if we look at the amount we received of 22,200, we divide that by 300, it means we received membership fees from 74 members. We also know that 74 members paid, but 3 actually made payments for next year already, because we had membership fees in advance for 3 members. So that means 71 members paid for this year. We had 75 registered members. That's the total income that we accrued for the year. And if we then subtract 71 who paid, it means there were 4 members who still owed membership fees. So that's how we can also get to the 4 members times 300, giving us the 1,200 that's due for membership fees receivable. Now we're going to look at question 10.2, section B. So we're following on from the same example, but now we're working with the next year, 2003, and we are going to do entries again in the general journal. They've asked here for the entries that are required to reverse the previous year's adjustments. So those are the entries you do at the beginning of the year to reverse the adjustments that were done for membership fees received in advance and membership fees receivable at the end of the prior year. However, I'm going to show you all the journal entries for the year up until the end of December 2003, just for completeness sake, and I'm going to show you the membership fees ledger account as well as the membership fees receivable account and the membership fees received in advance account. So during 2003, 18 new members registered. Remember, we had 75 at the end of last year. Membership fees received during the year, they don't tell us how much membership fees received was, but they do tell us that during this year we received payment for 3 members who owed money for 2002 and 5 members who were paying in advance for 2004. So we're going to use that information later on in the question, because we've just worked out that 4 members still owed money for 2002, but here we see only 3 have paid. So it probably means that 1 member is going to have to be cancelled, and these 5 members are the membership fees received in advance at the end of 2003. They also tell us that 2 members resigned on the 5th of January 2003 because they moved to another city, and because their membership fees for 2003 were paid during 2002, so these members had paid in advance, the management decided to refund their 2003 membership fees to them. So we're going to have to account for that. And at the end of the year, 2 members still owed the membership fees for 2003. So now we're going to look at the journal entries and the general ledger accounts for membership fees. The first thing is that the membership fees receivable account coming from Part A would have had a debit balance of 1,200 because there were 4 members who hadn't paid their membership fees at the end of last year. That's a current asset. The current liability, membership fees received in advance, we had 3 members who paid their membership fees in 2002 for 2003. So these are opening balances. That's why it says balance brought down from the prior year. So our step 1 is going to be to reverse these amounts on the 1st of January. So these are our journal entries to reverse those amounts, and this is what's required in the question. The first amount, the membership fees received in advance, had a credit balance, so we clear that account and we debit the account with 900 and we credit membership fees with 900. The reason we're doing that is because it's this year's membership fee income, so we're showing the 900 Rand now as income for the current year. We have 1,200 that was a debit in the membership fees receivable account. We're now crediting the membership fees receivable account to clear it, and we're going to debit membership fees for 203. The reason we're debiting it is because we're expecting there to be a payment of these fees in 203. So when the payment gets credited to the membership fee account, this amount will reduce that payment because we're going to be receiving payments in the current year that actually were for last year's membership fees. So these are the two journal entries I've just shown you, where the membership fees in advance has been cleared and credited to the membership fees account as income, and the membership fees receivable has been cleared and debited to the membership fees account because it's going to reduce the amount of money we received during the year, because some of the money we're going to receive in 203 actually related to the prior year. Okay, so the first entry was to, step one is that you're reversing the adjustments of the prior year. Now you have to be putting in the entries for this year, and the first thing that happened was that on the 5th of January, there were 2 members that moved and we decided to refund their membership fees. I also said to you that they tell us that there were membership fees received during the year, but they don't tell us the amount. Your second step usually is to put in your bank amounts. We don't have a bank amount here, but here we know we're going to be paying back 300 Rand to 2 members. So that will be 600 Rand. So let's see what those entries look like. These journal entries were not required in the question, but I'm giving them to you for completeness sake. So our first journal entry normally is to record the membership fees received during the year. We credit membership fee income and we debit the bank account because that increases. But you'll see I've put question marks because we don't know those amounts and we'll come back to them. We do know that 2 members got repaid their membership fees because they left. So we had to make a payment out of the bank account, Credit Bank, and we will debit membership fees for this year. So that will reduce our membership fee income by 600 Rand. So these are the 2 journal entries for membership fees. We credit the membership fees account with the amount we received from the bank that we don't know yet. And we debit the membership fees account with the membership fees that we've refunded for the year. They tell us that during the year we received membership fees for 3 members from 2002. So this is in the 2003 year we received money from members. So this is something else you need to be looking for in membership fees accounts, is that you're quite often going to have not all the members paying, and then you're going to have to write off the members that didn't pay as a bad debt. Because remember, in this question, if they haven't paid by the 30th of April the following year, then that membership is cancelled and we're going to write off the membership fee income. So our journal entry for writing off the membership fees is going to be that we're going to debit bad debts and credit membership fees. Remember, we said at the beginning of the current year, 1st of January 2003, there were 4 members who hadn't paid. Last year we had income that was still due to us, income receivable of 1,200. Then in the question they tell us in the current year 3 members paid their membership fees for 2002 during the current year 2003. That means we received 900 Rand of the 1,200 that was owing. So that means there's 1 member who hasn't paid, and that amount of 300 Rand therefore needs to be written off. So we're going to take the amount out of the membership fees account and we're going to debit an expense account bad debts or credit losses. So if you now look at the membership fees account, we have 300 Rand on the credit side. This 300 Rand is basically a reduction of this 1,200. That 1,200, 900 of it is going to be in our bank account amount because we actually received payments from 3 members during the year. But the other 300 of that is actually not going to get paid anymore. That's why we've taken the 300 out and debited bad debts. So this 1,200, remember, was membership fee income from last year, and that membership fee income effectively is cancelled out in the membership fees account when the money is received from the members or when we write off that amount that was owing as a bad debt. They also tell us that membership fees for 2004 were received from 5 members, so we know those are membership fees received in advance. So we can now do the closing entry for that, closing adjustment rather. So this is our journal entry for the membership fees received in advance. We received during the current year membership fees for 5 members relating to next year. So that's 1,500 Rand that's going to be credited to our liability, membership fees received in advance, 1,500. We're going to debit that amount to the membership fees account. Remember, the membership fee would be included in the amount that we've got via our bank account. We still have to work that amount out, but this is the amount we received during the year that we credit to the membership fees account. And here we're taking off from that amount the amount that relates to next year's membership fees. So we're reducing the membership fees account by the 5 members that have paid for next year. So the membership fees account gets debited with 1,500 Rand, and the membership fees received in advance gets credited with 1,500 Rand. That's our new current liability. That's going to be next year's membership fee income. They told us that at the end of 2003, 2 members hadn't paid their membership fees, so we can do the final adjustment for that. So we have 2 members owing 300 each, so that means we have to create membership fees receivable. That's an asset, a debtor, owing us 600 Rand, and we're going to credit income membership fees because that's income that we've earned for the period, even though we haven't received the amount. So in your membership fees account, we've got a credit here of 600 Rand. That's membership fee income for this year, and a debit to membership fees receivable. This is your asset, the amount owing by members at the end of the year. So our membership fees account, we've now used all the information that's been given to us, but we still need to work out how much we physically received in the bank account. But what we've now got to do is first of all work out how much was the membership fee income that we've actually earned for the year, because that's the amount that we are going to be taking out of the membership fee account to the income and expenditure account. So we're going to do a calculation to see how many members we had for the year and how much membership fee income we actually earned for the year. So we had 75 members at the beginning of the year and 18 new members during the year. 2 members left and we refunded their membership fee, and 1 member his membership was cancelled. So that means we were left with 90 members who owed us membership fees for the year. 300 Rand each means our membership fee income should have a balance of 27,000. So that 27,000 gets taken out of the membership fees account and gets credited to our income account for the year. So we put the 27,000 on the debit side of the membership fees account. Remember, this is a closing entry. Effectively, we're transferring the income that was earned for the year to income and expenditure. We will now be able to balance this account and work out the balancing figure, which is the amount of cash we received. So if we total the debit side, we get 30,300. We take that across to the credit side, it's 30,300. We then work backwards. The balancing amount is 28,500. That must then be the amount of money we received for membership fees during the year. So our journal entry then is the bank account would have increased by 28,500 and membership fees increased by 28,500. So the journal entries for the year are now complete. So now let's look at our general ledger accounts. The membership fee account. The 27,000 is the membership fees that we've earned for the year. We have 90 members who were supposed to pay fees. That's the amount that goes to your income and expenditure, a statement of income and expenditure for the club. In the membership fees account, we have various entries that you need to understand and know, because you saw in this question there was an amount not given to you which you then had to work backwards to, and you'll see in other membership fees questions there will be different things that they don't give you at different times. So you need to be able to put in all of the amounts like a puzzle and work out the amount that is missing. So in the membership fees account, what you should always have, first of all, is the reversal of the adjustments from the prior year. So we first reverse the membership fee income that was received in the last year, but is actually this year's income, so it gets credited to the membership fee account. Then we reverse the 1,200, which was membership fees owing from last year that hadn't yet been paid, and we saw that of that, 900 Rand was actually paid during the current year, and the other 300 Rand was written off as a bad debt. So those two amounts together give us the 1,200 Rand, which was owing from last year. So that means this effectively gets cancelled out. Also in the membership fees account then, we always have the amount we received during the year. Some of it will be for last year, some for this year, and some for the following year. In the membership fees account, it's therefore also possible to refund members. So then we take that out of the membership fees account. Bad debts will be coming out of the membership fees account on the credit side, because the membership fees receivable were debited at the beginning of the year. Now we find that the member didn't pay, so that 300 Rand was reversing part of the membership fees that were receivable at the beginning of the year. Then you put in your closing transfers. Membership fees received in advance for next year, 5 members paid 300 each in advance, so that becomes a liability. And we have 2 members still owing fees, so that becomes an asset. So you need to understand all of these amounts in the membership fees account so that you can work backwards to any of the amounts. The important amount is the 27,000, because that's the income earned for the year, which will go into your statement of income and expenditure. The membership fees receivable will show on your statement of financial position at the end of the year as a current asset called income receivable. And the membership fees received in advance will also go on your statement of financial position, but as a current liability called income received in advance. That's the end of this question.